Hey everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the Tuesday edition of Today in Sports Betting. And after my terrible beat yesterday with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. costing me a 22-1 shot by 7/1000ths of a second, we're back to banging again today and talk about a little European soccer. And of course, as always, I am joined by my co-host with the most out there from Long Island, New York. We're not going to talk about the race at all, even though his guy won it. It is Scott Reichel. Scott, how are you today?
Oh, so you talk about your racer, but not my racer. Okay,
That's right.
I was on the other end of that 7/1000th of a second.
Brutal, just brutal. So let's.
I kind of liked it, but it is what it is. It was a great race. We'll cover that later in the week when we go over.
Yeah, fun race, and we're going to talk about a doubleheader this weekend that most likely will not be fun races like yesterday's, where they go to the terrible triangle up there in Pennsylvania to run the Pocono.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, though, there's been some news going on. Baseball appears to be having a season.
Yes.
I'm using the word appears very delicately because, based on the Players Association and the owners, it could easily implode at any second, and I feel like nobody would be surprised. But as of right now, it looks pretty decent for there to be a season. And you also have the U.S. Open for tennis coming up in a couple months, and Novak Djokovic tested positive for the coronavirus today. So, yeah, a lot of interesting stuff going on. A couple tennis players tested positive over the last couple of days. I believe Borna Coric tested positive. Grigor Dimitrov tested positive. I said the U.S. Open coming back was a terrible idea, and I said I wouldn't expect Nadal or Djokovic to show up. And now I'm pretty sure Djokovic won't show up. So, yeah, definitely interesting time period for the USTA and for the ATP, and we'll see what happens there, but definitely not the greatest morning for tennis fans.
Well, there you go. And, I'm pretty excited about today's show, Scott. I don't want to make light of today's shows because we have a lot of stuff going on the pitch over there in Europe. It is tournament time for everybody. The EPL, all the other seasons are kind of winding down, getting ready to fire it up. And who better to join us than an actual European? I'm pretty excited. This is somebody that knows their stuff. He is the official soccer writer over there at winnersandwhiners.com. We're happy to have him coming all the way from Mallorca, Spain. We drug him off the beach for about an hour here, and we're very excited. It's Valdis Pans. Valdis, how are you, buddy? Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you happen to be.
Good evening from here. It's always nice to see you guys. And 1 hour off the beach is always good as well. You can't have that too much of the good stuff.
That's right. You got to.
Well, you can though. You can.
Do you still have? Are you still rocking your beer? Beautiful, nice. Beautiful. That's fantastic. All right, so guys, we got a lot going on in the world of soccer, as us unwashed masses here in America would call it, as the rest of the world calls it football. Valdis, what are you most excited about this week? I know you've got the FA Cup coming up this weekend, and you've got one crappy team in there in Norwich, but you don't have any of the second division teams for the first time in a while. So what do you make of it? You don't have Liverpool, as they have busted out of the tourney. So
Liverpool is like 5 points away from winning the league for the first time in 30 years. They have never won in the Premier League era. They've never won the actual Premier League trophy. They won it 2 years before the last time they won.
Yeah, they won it
England
before they adopted the new format.
What was it called before it was called the Premier League?
England's first division. What was it called?
Who
remembers?
It was, not the Premier League.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So basically, that the last time they won, when Liverpool won the league, was some 2-3 years before Premier League actually.
In other words, Liverpool has other priorities. That's how I would phrase that. They got to win the domestic league and they're in the Champions League. I don't think they really care much.
They do have a 20-point league there, 20-point lead in the Premier League. So it looks like it's almost pro forma that they will coast to the victory. How many games do they have left? They played 30 games. How many are left?
There's still plenty to play for. Around what they have, like 8 games left, but they will win in the next 2. So they could have won. They could have, if Manchester City would have lost to Burnley yesterday, Liverpool only then needed the win on Wednesday against.
They're going to beat Crystal Palace. They're going to win. They're going to win that game anyway.
If they're going to win, then they need 2 more points, and that's it.
It's pretty much a wrap. It really depends on if Salah ends up playing against Crystal Palace. We'll get into that in a bit, but that's
well. And I know over the weekend I actually watched this game. Liverpool just had their third decision that wasn't a victory out of 30 games as they
exactly
against 0-0 tie. I know that a game that Scott was pretty thrilled about because he had Liverpool to win at 0, right?
I had Liverpool to win to 0 at like plus 170, and I'm like, all right, that's a great deal. Everton's not going to score. I just need 1 goal, and then Salah is supposed to sub in the 70th. Then one of the center backs gets injured. They got to sub in Lovren instead. And Salah doesn't come in, and it was 0-0. It was upsetting. I got good value on it, but that's just disappointing.
I went for a draw, and it happened.
Okay, well, congrats on that one.
And they came very close to losing that game as they hit
Everton at the post.
As they hit the post there in about the 88th minute or so, or was it actually stoppage time?
No, it was late 80s. I would say Liverpool had possession for the majority of the game, but they never really threatened at all. It seemed like their best chances came from free kicks that didn't really seem like they generated much inside the box. Mane was awful. He was just really bad in that game, and Salah didn't play. So for the most part, Liverpool didn't really have much of an offensive game plan besides trying to nail free kicks or corners and just trying to score on set pieces. It seemed to be their only method.
No, there you go. All right, so let's talk a little FA Cup. And for those of you that are not familiar with the FA Cup, this is the oldest national football competition in the world. Started in 1871-1872 season, officially known as the Football Association Challenge Cup. And some interesting games. Valdis, let's get it started. You just want to run down the board. We'll start with Norwich City and Man U, or do you just have some special games?
Well, we have 4 games anyway in the quarterfinals. Each game, which finishes with a draw, obviously goes to extra time and then a penalty shootout. So it's going to be an interesting weekend for anybody who supports English soccer. So. Because we only have 2 Premier League games anyway on the weekend. So this is going to be a really good attraction. Mostly also because all of the teams in the quarterfinals in the FA Cup this season are from the Premier League. So that's going to be really a fun thing to watch. Norwich Man United. Norwich obviously facing relegation as we speak. I don't think they're going to crawl out of the bottom of the Premier League in the league as it goes for the FA Cup. Their chances are as bad. Man United started this restart of English soccer with a draw against Tottenham. They looked rusty, as did Spurs as well. Still 1-1 draw in the league. I think Manchester United will be better in this fixture. And besides, against Norwich, their record is already absolutely fantastic throughout the last 8 games. They have won 7 of them. And given that Norwich are not really putting any effort in any of their last few games, they have scored a single goal in their last 6 games. That's incredibly bad. I think Man United can also hope for a clean sheet, and I would bet in this particular fixture that Manchester United will go away with a win in 90 minutes and also will keep a clean sheet, which means United to win to 0 goes at plus 160. Perfect. Really, really good odds on that, and I would go with that.
All right, I've got them as Man United catching minus 181 to win straight up. There, the number on that is -1. If you wanted to play the spread,
yeah.
And you think they can cover the 1, Valdis? Do you like giving away the 1, or you like taking them straight up and laying the little juice there?
I'm gonna go with United to win with a clean sheet. Straight up. plus 160. That's great. That's the best bet you can get. I don't think Norwich will bother the Red Devils much on the offensive side. It's not going to happen.
So that's winning at nil, basically.
That's another embarrassing game for Norwich. They still have quite a few to come this season.
Right. We said there's no second division teams. Norwich is about as close as you can get.
They're going to be a second division team, so
they're on the train headed there, aren't they?
On the train.
Yeah.
Scotty, you got any thoughts on that one? Does Man U just roll over inferior competition here?
Well, the truth is, I actually have a question for Valdis because I'm curious about it. So, Man U, in the opposite way of Liverpool, still has a lot to play for in the domestic league because they're currently tied for the 5th spot with Sheffield with regard to the Europa League spot in the domestic. So my question for that is, how motivated do you think Man U will be for this game, or do you think they'll be more motivated for the domestic games coming up?
I think Man United have this season has started well. At least, not to say this season, but this specifically 2020, this year has started really well for the Red Devils. Especially things changed since Bruno Fernandes joined the team on one of the last days of the transfer window in January. The team really is hungry to win game after game, or at least perform well, and they are. Well, at the moment, United have gone on an unbeaten run in all competitions for 12 straight games, winning 8 of them, and it's a pretty good showing. 9 clean sheets as well. So, FA Cup is also a competition United have always taken seriously, and of course, this is one of 2 trophies the team can still win this season. So
it's definitely salvaging something for the trophy case. I agree with you. I was just curious because fatigue's going to play a huge factor because you have a lot of players who haven't played for a long period of time, and now they're suddenly forced to play in multiple competitions basically at the same time. I know that the EPL has added some water breaks and some extra substitutions to help, the players deal with the extra sudden workload of running around for 90 plus minutes. So I know that they've been doing the best they can.
And that's
for the sake of this matchup, Norwich is definitely going to come out extremely motivated, but this team just can't score. I'm not going to play this personally, but if I had to play one way, I would play the same way Valdis did. I could see Man U winning 1-0, 2-0. I think that Norwich isn't going to score. I think Man U can open up a big lead early and just simply pack it in defensively. And I feel like this game's going to end 1-0 or 2-0. I think it'll be pretty boring. But Norwich, simply put, just doesn't have the talent to actually create enough scoring chances. And Man City, even though they don't play the most possession-based football, so you could worry about some counterattacking, etc., I just think they're too talented. And I think Man U should be able to win this game 1-0 or 2-0. So for that reason, I agree with Valdis, and I would probably play it the same way.
Okay. All right. Very good. And that's the lone game on Saturday. And then we do have 3 Sunday games. 2 of them promise to be a little more competitive than that one, perhaps, as Arsenal goes against Sheffield United there in the early game Sunday. And Arsenal, a small favorite in this one, minus 136, Sheffield minus 101. And, of course, if you wanted to go the 3-way result, plus 140 on Arsenal, plus 177 on Sheffield, and a draw, plus 209. Valdis, where's the value in this game?
Well, let's see. Arsenal actually, just before the coronavirus break, Arsenal were great. They went on an unbeaten run for 8 games, winning 4 of them, and everything's just gone wrong since the restart. They lost 3-0 to City. Okay, there was like a red card as well in the game, but the performance against Brighton was much better, but also not encouraging enough. They lost the game in the last moment.
They're up 1-0 in like the 74th minute, and ended up losing 2-1.
2-1. That was absolutely unexpected, and I think that's going to damage the morale of the team absolutely, for sure.
Okay.
Arsenal are not looking too good. Like I watched both games against City and also against Brighton. Arsenal, even though they looked better against Brighton, playing in Sheffield against a really strong Sheffield United squad, which is super strong defensively, I don't think it's going to be Arsenal's day. I'm not sure if the team is going to lose per se in 90 minutes. I would probably, the best bet to go for here would be to go for with a draw, which goes at plus 225, and then just see how the game goes after that. And to be honest, I think that Arsenal could be unlucky in this one and actually lose on penalties. And you can actually bet on that to happen for Sheffield United to win on penalties. This fixture, the odds are plus 1,300, 1,300. This is a really good odds, which
Nice.
I will definitely use. Because Sheffield obviously are really strong defensively this season. They have, in Premier League alone, they have the second best defensive record only to Liverpool, and they have allowed only 28 goals throughout the whole campaign. Dean Henderson will be back in goal as a goalie. He won't be playing against Manchester United because he is a Manchester United player on loan to Sheffield. So he's going to miss that game. He's going to be fresh against Arsenal. It's going to be a tough day for Arsenal. A tough day for Sheffield as well, but knowing Sheffield's resolve defensively this season, I expect a really, really close contest. That Sheffield can grab a win at the very, very last during penalties, if you will.
Anybody have a double result there for a draw in the under 2.5?
I thought you were going to say Sheffield in the draw. I can't say that I have that in front of me, but I can look for it for you.
Actually, it's 2.25. What is that about?
That's the same thing that we talked about with 3/4 a couple days ago. So half of your bet would go towards 2, half of your bet would go towards 2.5.
You mean with a handicap?
Yeah. Basically, if you see a quarter, that means that half of your bet would move towards the 2, and half of your bet would move to 2.5.
So it's just like if they printed it 2 and then 2.5. Like
you basically take your bet and just chop it, and you take it at 2 separate lines. You get half your bet at over under 2 goals and half your bet at over under 2.5 goals.
Nah, I don't like that as much. Then never mind. I like the 2.5.
With a handicap, in my opinion, the best way to go for if you see a team that is much worse, let's say, in its chances to win or even draw, you can always put the handicap of plus 1.5, which gives like the team already 1.5 goal advantage ahead of the game. And I have a couple of results here that I think during the Premier League this bet could definitely get through. Basically, to bet on a team for it not to win, not to lose by more than 1 goal. Basically, if it loses by 1 goal or draws or wins, you win.
Okay.
If it's beaten by less than 2 goals, your bet is a winning one. So handicap plus 1.5 is a really good way to go.
And I don't have that one. You like Sheffield plus 1.5?
I would, if I'm honest, I don't fancy Arsenal's chances that much in this game that I would give disadvantage to Sheffield per se. I think that, in the history of FA Cup, the last 7 games have been won by Arsenal. 2 of them, though, have gone. 2 of these 7 have ended as draws. So, for me, Arsenal are not playing good enough to win this game outright,
right.
And Sheffield are too good defensively. So it's a tricky one for me. A draw definitely goes through, and I think it's especially when it's so much at stake. For Arsenal, this is going to be it is a realistic opportunity to win a trophy this year. God knows if they're going to make it to Europa League next season. The way it goes, the team is not doing that well in the league standings anyway. So this could be a little consolation for the fans. The fans will hate it anyway because the Arsenal fans are known to be some of the most
they're volatile,
dissatisfied.
They're very volatile.
It doesn't help the team at all. But
the Philadelphia fans of the English Premier League.
That's actually a decent comparison.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's actually pretty accurate. Yeah.
Scott, you got any feelings on this one?
The truth is that Valdis and I are on the same page once again. It's just a matter of the fact that Arsenal's looked awful since the restart. Sheffield's coming in off a very disappointing performance against Newcastle, but they also had a very, very early red card, which basically killed their chances of winning the game. So I think they'll try to come in for a bounce-back game. Sheffield's still very motivated, still in the hunt, tied with Man U right now for the Europa spot. But once again, they also have a chance of making a run in this tournament. And Arsenal, they just seem disinterested. It's just a matter of the fact that this team just hasn't been consistent at all. And it seems like since the restart, in addition to being disinterested, they just came out flat. And going into this game, I thought this would go to extra time, and I thought Sheffield would win. So Valdis literally mentioned Sheffield to win on penalties at plus 1,300. I'm not sure what book that you got that on, because I'm trying to find a line to compare it to, and I can't find it. But for the sake of just talking about the match, I see a 0-0 match going into extra time. I don't think anyone's going to score. I think it's going to be a very boring game. If you want to take Sheffield, if you want to play it safer, Sheffield clean sheet is plus 235. I don't think Arsenal's going to score. I think Sheffield's going to be very, very defensive. I think they know how good Arsenal is offensively, and they're just going to try to pack it in. I think that's going to be a strategic maneuver from Sheffield. I think they're going to win in pens. I think they're going to win extra time, worst case scenario. I see a 0-0 Sheffield win in pen scenario. So I kind of like the plus 1,300. And if you want to play it safer, no goals in the entire match is actually plus 800. And that's only the first 90 minutes. That's not including the extra time. So I would actually play the no goals at plus 800, because I think this game's going to be really, really boring. And Sheffield loves to play very defensively. And I think Arsenal have just looked a little bit sloppy with their offensive games. And for that reason, I think this game will be 0-0. So if I had to lean anywhere, I would lean to 0-0 for the full time, and I would lean to Sheffield to win by penalty kicks at plus 1,300.
Okay.
Valdis, do you have any thoughts on the no goals at plus 800?
That's a good bet as well, because Sheffield's defensive record is great. And Dean Henderson's back in the goal. He has 11 clean sheets in Premier League this season.
I'm a little bit concerned about Arsenal's defense, though, which has been a little bit inconsistent. But I feel like Arsenal is just going to be pushing the pace offensively so much that Sheffield's going to be forced to kind of park the bus.
Yeah,
and that's how I could.
It's quite possible, and Sheffield is not the team that's known for its offensive escapades anyway. So it's it might be
plus 1,300. I would easily throw like a quarter of a unit on both and just see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Moving on to the next game, the third game of the 4-game quarterfinals. You've got Chelsea and Leicester going at it. Another game that fairly well matched up teams. As let's see, I'm just looking for the standings here. Both of these teams are doing pretty well. You got the matchup of the number 3 and the number 4 teams in the EPL standings. Valdis, who has the advantage here?
None of the teams has the advantage here, and I will explain you why. The last 3 games in Premier League between the two have finished with draws, so they've been really close. And the last time both played, also in a quarterfinal in the FA Cup, was 2 years ago, and the game finished 1-1, and later was won by Chelsea in the extra time. To be honest, in this one, I have no leaning to either team to actually go through. Both can do it. Both are capable of doing it, but I would go with a draw in 90 minutes. Definitely for this one. There have been too many draws between the two teams, and they are really, really close, and both will be motivated to keep it slow, keep it safe, and then see which team gets more tired and then snatch the win either in the extra time on really just to let it for pure luck and await the penalty shooter. Neither team will want to play extra soccer anyway, because both teams have pretty hectic schedules. No one will want to play this extra time and the penalty shootout, but I think that's where it could go. A draw for me at plus 240 is by far the best bet here. Regarding the winner, I have no idea. I would not even go that far.
All right.
It can go either way.
Okay, very good. Scott, you You got a lean. You like the draw at plus. He's got it at plus 240 on the sheet there.
The truth is that I was kind of looking at this match the same way. I wouldn't want to pick a winner. Instead of a draw, we're kind of on the same page because he was talking about 1-1. I like the under 2.5 at plus 100. I just think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I know Chelsea's been a little bit inconsistent defensively. I know Leicester's in the middle of a game now, and they're tied 0-0 with Brighton at the moment. Simply put, I just think this game's going to be low-scoring. You have to question how much either team will be interested, especially since Chelsea's going to be playing in the middle of the week against Man City. They might have to use a secondary lineup there because they might be a little bit fatigued, which bodes well for Leicester. Simply put, I just think this game's going to finish 1-0 or even 0-0 or 1-1. I just don't see goals happening that frequently. Leicester pretty much relies solely on Vardy to score all of their goals. So if Chelsea can actually stop Vardy, I don't think anyone else on Leicester is really that threatening for the most part. And Chelsea has some weapons, but Leicester's been pretty good defensively. So for that reason, am I going to play this? No, I'm going to pass entirely. But I think under 2.5 at plus 100 has some value to it because I really think that fatigue will play a factor late in the second half. And I just think that both teams have played very tightly in the past. I can see 1-1. I can see 1-0. I can see 0-0, honestly. So for that reason, I'll lean to the under 2.5.
Okay. All right. That's solid as well. And the last game of the weekend is probably going to be the worst game as Man City goes up against Newcastle United. Man City is a prohibitive favorite here. I got them at minus 625 on the three-way line. Well, if you wanted to take a spin on the underdogs, nice little price there at plus 1155. Minus 2 is the line in this one. Valdis, give me some value here, man. It looks like serious chalk as Man City has been the best team outside of Liverpool this year, and Newcastle United not having one of their best campaigns, although they're in no danger of getting relegated. They are just 13th out of the 20 teams. So, look at the underdog here.
To be honest with you, Man City are playing absolutely fantastically since they've started the campaign back from the coronavirus break. And if it would go as it stands at the moment, if Man City would be a little bit closer to Liverpool, I would say Liverpool's title bid would be in danger. Obviously, that's not going to happen. And I think Man City will still finish this season as the best team in England, and they have the best chances to win against Newcastle. Having said that, Newcastle have been extremely good on their own turf lately. They are unbeaten in 5 home games in the calendar year of 2020, and they have kept 5 consecutive clean sheets as well. I doubt that Newcastle will keep a clean sheet against Manchester City. That's not going to happen. Still, the last 2 games between the two teams, Newcastle have actually gone unbeaten against Man City in the last 2 teams, winning 1 in the last 2 games, winning 1 and earning a draw in this year's Premier League reverse fixture. The game finished 2-2, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it was 2-2 also in Newcastle. We talked about the handicaps and the one plus 1.5 handicap to a team that kind of is not in contention of winning per se, but could lose by not more than 1 goal. And I think to pick Newcastle with a handicap of plus 1.5, and that goes at plus 140, is probably the best idea. You never know. Both teams can play out a 2-2 draw again. It's possible. Anything can happen in FA Cup. It's a crazy competition. So
very, very good. And I've got Newcastle here at plus 2. And minus 106 is the price there, so you can even pick up another
minus 106 at plus 2,
another half goal. Scotty, your feelings on this one?
The truth is, I'm just gonna pass. I don't really see much value. I was trying to see if I could find a halftime, full-time result for Man City, but unfortunately, Foxbet took down its betting lines at this point in time, so I can't really look at it. In reality, I think Newcastle can put up a more impressive showing than what odds makers think. But at the end of the day, Man City's too talented. And I think as of right now, I agree with Valdis. I think Man City is the best team in the league, just based on how they've looked in the restart. Liverpool, some of it could have to do with how far they are ahead. They just look disinterested. They just don't look like they care. Man City's actually looked ridiculous. There's no way to describe it. Man City's been insane. And I think Man City, as of right now, has a better chance of Liverpool. Kind of chocolate is my hot take. I think Man City has a better chance of winning the Champions League than Liverpool does, just based on how they. That's my shocking prediction there. Man City's done a lot to impress me. Liverpool is not, and I feel like Liverpool was in such a groove that I think this long layoff hurt them more than other teams. Where Man City is always going to be playing the possession brand of football. They're always going to be holding the ball for 70-something%. They can kind of work their way through this against teams that are somewhat disorganized defensively. And like, would it shock me if this game finished in a 1-0 situation? No. Would it shock me if Man City won 4-0? No. So for that reason, I have to pass. I just think Man City's too talented. I can't touch this.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
But mostly,
but at the end of the day, I think there's a better chance of Man City running away with it. But I do understand.
Right.
Yeah. So I'll pass.
All right. Very good. Valdis, any final thoughts there from the FA Cup on Saturday and Sunday?
Well, that's about it. I think the best bet, as we kind of agreed, is Sheffield to win on penalties against Arsenal.
Can I ask
that's probably the best.
Can I ask what book you found that on? Can I ask what book you found that on? Is that only Bet365?
Well, actually, I'm finding them on Odds Checker. So they kind of give you like. But
does it tell you which book that it's using to find that? Because I can't find that prop anywhere.
So
I'm curious because I'm trying to find that 1300 and I can't find it. Maybe it's in Europe and it's not in the States. I'm just curious.
That must be in Europe for sure.
Yeah, because I can't find that. So I probably won't be able to play that. If I cannot play that, I would play no goals at plus 800.
Yeah,
that's how I would play that for a quarter unit. But I want that 1300, but I don't think I'm going to find it. So I don't know, I'll figure it out.
Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye out for that as the game day gets a little closer. Maybe they'll expand some options there. As
maybe offshore will have something. I don't know.
So, all right, very good. And Valdis, I know over there you're in your home area there of España. They're coming down to the or excuse me, we're talking the Bundesliga, not España at all. Sorry.
I got España covered. She's got Bundesliga covered.
That's right. And they're coming down the home stretch on the Bundesliga. Is this the last weekend?
This is the last weekend, and we kind of have to look at which teams still have something to play for, and there's plenty of action. I think that's going to be pretty interesting.
Well, give us some of the highlights from the final weekend of the Bundesliga. Who do you see motivated, maybe pulling off the upset?
Well, the things are, as we stand, Bayer Leverkusen, which sit at the 5th place, and Borussia Mönchengladbach are still competing for the 4th place in the league. Mönchengladbach is 4th, 2 points ahead, meaning that if they lose to Hertha Berlin and Bayer win against Mainz, then Bayer will move to the Champions League spot, the 4th place. So that's a huge game for both. Those two games are huge for both teams. Both are also facing pretty tricky opposition. I mean, Mainz have won 3 of their last 4 games and will be quite tough, even against Leverkusen, even though Bayer play in Leverkusen, and so they have the advantage. Mönchengladbach against Hertha Berlin. Hertha Berlin have been pretty good since their new coach came to the team some 7-8 games ago. So they've been pretty decent throughout this whole period of time since the restart of Bundesliga. If I would bet on these 2 games, I would probably go with the opposition team and also go with the handicap, because both teams, both Mainz and Hertha Berlin, are valued way higher. Obviously, they are the underdogs against both teams with clear motivation to go and win the game, because the Champions League spot is the prize, basically. If you go with Mainz, handicap plus 1.5, my favorite bet this weekend, you get plus 110. So meaning even if Bayern win 2-1, you win the bet anyway by going with Mainz. And with Hertha Berlin are too good, and I think that they could actually cause an upset to Mönchengladbach, leaving the team, even though they are fourth now. Bayer Leverkusen can actually, in this last match, they can squeeze into the Champions League spot, simply because Hertha Berlin is a tough opponent. And I think Hertha Berlin handicap at plus 1.5 is at minus 110. I would go for it, even though it's not as good as the one of Mainz. I would still go for basically for Hertha Berlin not to lose by more than 2 goals. More than 1 goal. So that's the key here.
Okay, all right. And I've got them, and you got that at 2, Valdis.
You said 1. You said 1.5.
1.5.
1.5 is best, because you simply if Mönchengladbach beat Hertha 2-1.
Right. Yeah.
You win it. You win the bet. So.
Yep. And I've got it at minus 104. What do you think? You've got a little better price. What do you have it over there?
You had minus 110, so you got the better line at minus 1.
Oh, okay. Very good. And that's a bet online. So there you go. Scott, you got any feelings on the on these 2 games?
The truth is, not really. Leverkusen comes in off a very disappointing performance against Hertha, where they ended up losing 2-0. Mainz actually looked really good over the last week or so, which is kind of shocking because they were awful leading up to this random 2-game streak that they were currently on. I have to assume Leverkusen's going to come back extremely motivated and focused after such a terrible showing in the middle of the week. Or from the weekend, I should say. So if I had to guess, I think Leverkusen's going to win. But I do like the way Mainz has played lately, so I'm not going to touch that. I actually do agree about Hertha potentially on a double result, maybe draw or win scenario. I can see Mönchengladbach choking here. It's just a matter of this team doesn't play well enough defensively to keep opponents off the scoreboard. And Hertha has played pretty well over the last couple of weeks. I think could be a trap game for Borussia. Do I think they're going to lose? Maybe not necessarily, but I think you can make the argument that this line is a little bit too high for Borussia, and I think that potentially a draw victory victory double chance for Hertha is definitely worth a look. So for me, I'm going to pass on both, but I think Hertha could give Borussia a run for their money.
Okay, all right. Very, very good, guys. That's some tasty analysis right there. A little something for everybody. Valdis, you got anything else from the Bundesliga?
Well, the Bundesliga also, we have the relegation battle. So basically, the 3 teams that are
Let's go Paderborn.
Paderborn are going down for sure.
Oh, they are going down. It's 100% they're going down. But
that's done.
They've embraced the fact that they're bad. They've embraced it, and I respect that.
Yeah. The only question mark is 16th place, which is the 3rd worst team, will play the relegation playoff. And there's 2 teams obviously still battling for that. Werder Bremen is still very much in the contention of getting to that place and not getting down for the first time in 40 years or something out of the Bundesliga. So for Werder Bremen, this is a huge game. They will simply, I think the last time, if I'm not mistaken, it was 1980 or 1981, the last time they were actually out of Bundesliga. So they've been regulars of the German top tier for years and years. So this is going to be a very embarrassing moment for them if they get knocked out. They have the chance of still finishing 16th and playing that playoff 2-leg game with the third place of Bundesliga 2. So their game, they play a home game against Cologne. So that's a pretty important game for them. Once again, Werder need to win, and they are heavy favorites to bank a win in this one. They have been horrible the last few weeks.
Both teams have been horrible lately. Both teams have been really bad.
That's true. Then again, head-to-head, out of the last 10 games, 6 of them have been draws between the two teams.
And in addition to that, 8 of them have gone under 2.5. So goals have been coming at a premium in these type of matchups historically. So
for Cologne to go also, as we said, like with a double chance for Cologne to have a draw or to win and to beat Werder Bremen, the double chance for Cologne is plus 100. That sounds good to me. I mean, Werder Bremen have only managed to win 1 of their last 10 games against Cologne, and 6 of them have been draws. So for me, Werder Bremen still are in no position of being such favorites to win, even if they are in a desperate situation. I think Werder Bremen will fail to win this one and will face the automatic relegation at the end of the match day on Saturday.
All right, and do you think Cologne gets it done in regulation, or are they going to have to go to stoppage time or to overtime?
Oh no, this one.
There's draws in this one. That's right. We're back in regular league play.
Yeah.
Do you like Cologne at plus 400 to win outright?
Cologne.
You like that?
Not necessarily. I would go for a double chance with plus 100 better. Okay. I think it can, given that 6 of these last encounters between the two have been draws. There might be a 7th one in the last 11. So they kind of have been pretty close. And of course, this game is in Bremen. And Werder Bremen need to win, so they will be more motivated not to let Cologne boss them around too much.
Okay.
I don't see a victory for them here anyway. So yeah, a draw or maybe a win for Cologne. Double chance, the best one.
And Scott, do you feel the same way about that?
I do. Going through the match, first of all, I know both teams have been pretty bad defensively. The over/under on Fox Bet is over/under 3.5 at minus 138 to the under. I would take the under. I mean, realistically, 8 of the last 10 meetings have gone under 2.5 goals, I believe, and now the line's at 3.5. So I think that this line is a little bit too high. Yeah, 8 of the last 10 meetings have gone under 2.5, and now it's 3.5. We're talking draws like 1-1 or 0-0 or even 2-1 there, you win. I just don't see many goals here. Both teams have been great defensively. Both teams also have not been good offensively either. And if Bremen's only win in their last 10 games came against Paderborn, and Paderborn's the worst team in the league, as we've talked about before, I like the double chance and I like the under. I'm not going to play either of those personally because I can't really trust either team. I could really see a 1-1 finish here. I think that sounds pretty standard. So for that reason, I would lean to the under. 3.5, I think, is too high. And I understand why it's juiced that way, but that's way too high in my opinion. And win double chance for Cologne, there's no way that Werder Bremen should be this big of a favorite. They should not be a minus in any single Bundesliga game except against Paderborn. So for that reason, I would have to lean to the double chance as well.
Okay. All right. Solid as well. And the one other game that involves a team that they can stave off relegation, as we pretty much have decided that Paderborn has pretty much accepted their fate. But we do have Dusseldorf that's going up against Berlin and Union Berlin.
Union Berlin, yeah.
Dusseldorf is the small favorite here at -0.5, and it's minus 110 on both sides of that line. And tell us about this one. You got the team that's actually lower ranked that is the favorite in this one, Valdis, even though they're playing on the road.
Yeah, Fortuna Düsseldorf have been in the 16th place, the relegation playoff spot for weeks. And they have kind of been trying to get out of it, and they failed to do so simply because they have drawn too many games, and they have 7 draws in the last 10 games. And for them, if they draw this one, their best case scenario happens if a draw could actually mean that even in the case if Werder Bremen win, they can still, on goal difference, they can still remain in that 16th spot and have that last chance of staying in the Bundesliga for another season by playing that relegation playoff against whichever team they're going to face. In this case, I'm actually quite confident that Union Berlin, playing on their own ground in Berlin, could actually snatch and settle for a draw here. Another draw for Fortuna Düsseldorf, they're 8th in the last 11 games. Doesn't sound that unrealistic. Draw is plus 265, pretty good odds. For me, the best bet here.
Okay. Yeah, and you've got the better price there. I've got the draw at plus 250. Scott, how do you feel about the Union and Dusseldorf here?
Kind of similarly, I would take Union plus half a goal. What do you say that line was at? Minus 110?
Minus 110 on both sides, right?
Yeah, I would take Union plus a half there. Simply put, there's no way that a team that's 2-6-8 on the road should be favored in this game. That's absolutely insane. If you look at Union's home record, they're 7-3-6. Not great, still a winning record. They've gotten points in 10 of their 16 home games. And Fortuna simply just doesn't win games. They just either tie or lose basically all the time. And I think Union's the more talented team. The issue that you have with some odds makers is that sometimes they buy a little bit too much into the motivation. They just say, this is a must-win situation, so this team will have to win. And the answer is no, Union's the better team. They've been decent at home, and Fortuna's awful on the road. So why would I take Fortuna minus 1.5 here? I agree about the draw idea. It wouldn't surprise me if Union won the game outright. I think Union's actually talented enough to win this game as well. And if you look at recent matchups, both teams have tended to score a decent amount. Fortuna has not won a game in each of their last 5 games, and now they're suddenly laying minus a half. I'll take the plus a half with Union there. I think Union might win this game outright or might even draw 1-1 or 2-2. So for that reason, plus a half for the home team looks like a pretty good deal here. So I'll take Union plus the half.
Better team, home team, catching a half goal, even money. That sounds like a
that sounds like a trap line, but I pretty much have to take it. That just
there you go.
Sounds too good.
Okay, very good. Valdis, anything else from the Bundesliga before we move on across the continent?
Nothing too interesting. I mean, like wins for Bayern and Dortmund and Freiburg against Schalke, I think we can all agree on. Maybe the one interesting bet we could do is against the bottom Paderborn. Eintracht Frankfurt are playing a home game against Paderborn. Nothing's too interesting in this game apart from an Eintracht Frankfurt clean sheet has the odds of plus 185. That's pretty good to consider, given that Paderborn have been scoring goals pretty regularly this season, but in the last game against Eintracht Frankfurt, they have nothing to win. It could that's gonna most likely outcome.
Okay.
Clean sheet for Eintracht.
All right, very, very good. Sounds like a full day of footy here, or a full weekend actually, rather, Saturday and Sunday. And Scott, I know we're kind of coming down to it on time, but I know you've taken a look at some other spots around the various leagues. Tell me, give me some of the highlights that you've got from La Liga and Serie A.
Okay, so I got 4 plays around the league, not including what we just talked about. To be honest, I got to write down what I just agreed with Valdis on because I agreed with pretty much almost everything he had to say. So I might have added a couple plays from those. But the 4 plays I have, the first play is pretty juicy. No offense to Valdis, it will be against Mallorca, and it will be the Real Madrid over 2.5 goals at minus 143 on Fox Bet. I know that that's pretty juicy, but Real Madrid and over 2.5 goals combined is minus 250 on BetOnline, and the clean sheet is minus 150. So if you combine those two on BetOnline, minus 143 makes absolutely no sense. So I feel like I'm getting a pretty good deal if you compare that on Fox Bet to BetOnline. So that's one of the reasons why it's for value alone. Second of all, Real Madrid has scored at least 4 goals in 3 of the last 4 meetings against Mallorca. Now, I know, of course, that some of that's inflated. because Real Madrid had Cristiano Ronaldo for some of those meetings. But Real Madrid still is very solid offensively, and they're very good defensively. I think that Real Madrid should win this game pretty easily. Third of all, Real Madrid has scored at least 3 goals in 2 of their first 3 games since the restart. And last but not least, Mallorca has allowed 31 goals in 14 road games, which is the second most in the entire league. Simply put, Real Madrid at home has been phenomenal. They're still undefeated. They just beat Valencia 3-0 at home. Mallorca can't stop a nosebleed. I mean, this team is just awful defensively. No offense, Valdis. And for that reason, I think Real Madrid could win 3-0, 4-0, 4-1. I feel like it really just depends on how badly Real Madrid wants to embarrass Mallorca. They're going to have scoring chances pretty much for the entire 90 minutes. And I think Real Madrid should put at least 3 in the back of the net. Decent amount of juice there, but Real Madrid could easily win 3-1, 4-1. So for that reason, I'll take the minus 143 on the Real Madrid team total over 2.5. That's my first play.
All right. Valdis, what do you think?
No, I totally agree. And Mallorca's been awful lately. They kind of started in a promising fashion in the first 2 games, even though the results didn't come their way. The performances were good, but it has just somehow, I think the morale has dropped, and I think they are pretty much
they've accepted relegation. They're
accepted
just
relegation and are already probably preparing for a lot of the better players to leave next season, and just going to be in the
after the tie with Leganes. It seems like they kind of waved the flag a little bit.
Yeah.
So
Real Madrid's too strong for Mallorca. Too strong.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, and that explains why you spend so much time on the beach and not going to the games. Of course, this year you're not going to games anyway. But yeah, there you go. Very good. Scotty, what else you got cooked up there?
Yeah, so I'm gonna stick to La Liga for my second play here. This one is kind of interesting because I'm kind of curious about the line, which I don't really think makes much sense. It's Barcelona to win to 0 against Celta Vigo, and that's available at plus 185 on DraftKings. Celta Vigo, definitely an interesting restart. They got shut out in their first 2 games since the restart, and then they won 6-0. So it's kind of interesting how that's worked out. But Barcelona, you know how many goals they've allowed in the 3 games since the restart, Scott?
2.
0.
That's not good. That's good. That's very good.
So them to win to 0 as the best team in the league right now is plus 185. And they're playing against a team that hasn't scored in 2 of the first 3 games since the restart. Barcelona is the king of possession football. They hold the ball all game, every game. They pretty much held the ball at least 70% of the time in every game that they play. And they haven't allowed a goal in over 270 minutes since the restart. So for that reason, Barcelona to win to 0 at plus 185 on DraftKings. It was available at plus 165 on FoxBet. You get an extra 20 cents of value there. I got to take plus 185 there for value. So my second play is on Barcelona to win to 0 against Celta Vigo at plus 185 on DraftKings.
Okay. Valdis, you agree with that?
Pretty decent pick here. Also, like, since the restart, obviously not all teams have gone in the action straight away with 100% preparation done correctly. The teams that are playing well, they will continue playing well. They will get better. The ones that have struggled, their process of getting to the full match fitness will be prolonged a bit. So a team that's gone like Barcelona and performed pretty well is the one to back in this case. Absolutely.
I just don't see how a team that hasn't allowed a goal since the restart is plus 185 to win to 0. That line makes no sense to me. I don't get that at all. So I got to play that for value.
Okay. Very good. And that's it for La Liga. Then what else you got over there? A little Serie A?
Yeah, I got one Serie A play and I got one play on the EPL. My Serie A play is kind of going to be a risky play, but this is such a mismatch. I got to try to find some value here. It's going to be on Juventus versus how do you pronounce it? Lecce, I believe. Sure. Lecce. It's one of the two. Either or, Lecce is one of the worst teams in the entire league, and Juventus is obviously the class of Serie A. Simply put, I'm taking Juventus to win both halves at plus 122 on FanDuel. Simply put, Juventus has scored 31 goals in 13 home games, which is the third best in the league. And Alessi has allowed 30 goals in 13 road games, which is the most in the entire league. I think Juventus can win this game 4-0, 5-0. I don't think that Alessi's going to score in this game. So for that reason, I think Juventus to win both halves, plus 122 is a good deal. If you look at the actual line that you have to actually pay for Juventus to just win this game, you're laying a very, very, very heavy price, as Juventus is roughly minus 700 to win this game, and you can get roughly a minus 700 favorite at arguably plus 122. So for that reason, Juventus to win first half and full time is roughly minus 200, minus 220. And you basically just need them to score in the second half as well. And I think they will. I don't think Alessi's going to score. So for that reason, I'm going to take Juventus to win both halves at plus 122 on FanDuel for value.
Just for our non-soccer fans out there, when you say win both halves, does that mean they actually have to physically score again in the second half and not just be ahead?
Basically, it means that the score starts at 0 in both halves, and you have to win both halves. So that's what I'm taking instead. Normally, I like the first half full-time result, but in reality, Juventus should be able to score at least one goal in each half, and I don't think that Alessi's going to score in this match. So for that reason, plus 122, I'm getting a minus 700 favorite at plus 122. I got to take that.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I assume you like that one as well, Valdis?
That's a really good bet. If you can get like a total, the team that is a total favorite to bank to win in a game like that.
That's the thing is that even if it loses, you're saving $8 of value. I don't know how I'm not supposed to. I mean, Juventus haven't looked great since the restart, but they also haven't needed to because they pretty much wrapped up the domestic thing. I mean, months ago. I mean, that's just a waste of time. But their opponent is that bad that I think Ronaldo could score a hat trick here, and I would not be surprised.
Yeah, and for Ronaldo, obviously getting better after the coronavirus break is also his personally. It will, I think, it's going to be a huge.
I mean, they got
him.
Yeah, they got him and Dybala. I think that's just too much to handle. That's how I would look at that match. So that's my third play. And my last play, I'm going to switch gears talking about the Premier League. And I'm going to be taking Man City on the money line against Chelsea at minus 125 on Fox Bet. I know Chelsea won their last game against Aston Villa. Aston Villa isn't very good, and Chelsea did not look that impressive. They were actually trailing 1-0 in that game. They really just didn't look good. Man City's looked like the best team since the restart. They have outscored their opponents 8-0 since the restart of the league. Now, I am aware they beat Burnley yesterday, and the three of us could probably beat Burnley. So I'm aware that doesn't really mean much, as they won 5-0. Kind of like what I said about Barcelona. They haven't allowed a goal in over 180 minutes. This team defensively is phenomenal. This team possession-wise is phenomenal. Chelsea loves to try to go on the attack, but Man City's going to have the ball for at least 70% of this game. Or at least 60% of this game. So I just don't think Chelsea's going to have the ball enough. Chelsea's defense is very underwhelming, very inconsistent, and Man City has won each of the last 3 meetings. Minus 125, I know that you lose on the draw. I'll accept that. I think Man City should win this game 2-0, maybe 3-1. So for that reason, I'll take Man City on the money line at minus 125 on Fox Bet.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. Since Man City played yesterday, that's going to give them 3 games within the course of about 5 days. Does fatigue become a factor? Do they sit some guys out in one of these games? And is this likely to be the game if they were to sit some guys out?
The good news from Man City is that the depth of their squad is so big and so overwhelming that they will not have that kind of problem. Of course, some guys will sit out and some will come in. Raheem Sterling didn't play at all against Burnley, so he will be fresh, and he's one of the main threats in the team. So I totally agree. A City win here is pretty much expected. Manchester City have already beaten Chelsea on 4 of the past 5 meetings in the Premier League, so it's been kind of constant constant fashion for City to snatch a win against the Blues in the Premier League lately. Chelsea are getting better. Don't get me wrong. I like them as a
they're
team.
not on Man City's level at this point.
But they are nowhere near yet. And if they will ever be, that will take years for them to reach that level and depth of a team.
If they want to get that, they got to go back in time to get Frank Lampard and Didier Drogba if they really want to go back to Man City's level.
Yeah.
So
Frank Lampard, he's the manager of the team.
I know he is. I'm saying they might
probably put his boots on.
They might need to step on the pitch if they want to, go back to the way they were. But yeah, no, in reality, Chelsea's not a bad team. They're not nearly as good as they used to be. They used to be one of the top tier teams fighting with Man United for the title, which shows you how quickly this league has changed over the last 10, 15 years, back when Alex Ferguson was still the manager of Man U. But in reality, Man City, in my opinion, is the best team right now in the league. And I think Chelsea's probably, I don't know, maybe 4th, 5th best in the league, give or take. So for that reason, I just think there's a talent disparity.
One of the top 6, let's say.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I said
Chelsea are 4th, but if they are good enough to remain there, yes, they might actually still remain in the fourth position, because they are getting better and the team is playing well against, under Lampard. But it's a kind of different feeling. Everything that Chelsea don't have quality-wise at the moment. They have more in like team spirit, and they play as a team pretty well. Manchester City is just too tough of an opponent. So
they're on another level, Man City. It's just the way it is.
And that seems like a decent price at minus 127. You're not laying too much wood there.
Well, it's minus 125, so yeah.
Okay, even better.
But that also factors in. That doesn't factor in the draw. So it's
that's the three-way result, right?
Truth is, there aren't many teams that I would be scared off from Man City. I mean, Champions League, maybe you could say, well, I don't want to take them against Barcelona or against whatever. I think if Man City played Liverpool right now, I would take Man City. I think Man City is just in better form at this point in time.
All right, very interesting. Well, that's a whirlwind trip around the continent, there, boys. I
gotta write down what I ended up agreeing with Valdis on some of those picks. I ended up putting down a lot of stuff that I agreed with Valdis on, and none of those plays I originally planned on giving out. So I'm gonna have to dig in and look at what I just did. So we'll go back into it. But yeah, that's fine.
All right. Very good. Valdis, got anything else for us?
No, pretty much that's more or less what's there on the table from the best bets that we can give you.
Beautiful. We're coming down to crunch time here in all these leagues, and it's going to be fun. And it's something that even a novice soccer fan like myself gets excited about. So this will be a fun week to see what's happening. Scotty, you got any final thoughts? Any final plays?
No, I barely remember half the plays I agreed with Valdis on, so I'm gonna have to wait for the video to be published, and I'll write everything down, and then I can
listen to the video. Excellent, Valdis. Thanks very much for joining us, man. We always appreciate it when you drag yourself away from the beach over there in Mallorca, and hope everybody's staying safe. Are they doing a good job flattening the curve in Spain, Valdis? Is the thing starting to reopen?
Yeah, well, the borders are have been open already since Monday, and tourists are coming in. Some already have flown in from Germany, and it's looking good.
Are you anytime soon? You're going to be able to travel anytime soon?
Well, I think we are already actually allowed to go wherever we want, depending obviously with which country the borders are open. I don't think a lot of people will just want to do that just straight away. I would definitely not want to do that unless something like a second wave comes and you are just trapped somewhere else where you don't want to be.
Yeah, good. Well,
but it's looking good, and
excellent.
And more or less everything.
And we've decided it looks good here too, even though it really doesn't. We've just decided that it does. So I don't.
All in good time.
I don't even know. I don't even understand this country anymore. I swear to God. Scott, any final thoughts, buddy?
No. Looking forward to the weekend with soccer. Definitely should be a very entertaining weekend with a lot of action, a lot of drama. Even if your team isn't in contention for a potential berth in some league or a title, the relegation battles are always the most underrated ones in the world, and that's going to be pretty entertaining down the stretch, especially if you see some teams who know that they need to win, so they're going to go ultra attacking while they're up 2-0 for goal differential. It's going to be pretty fun. There's going to be a lot of unique situations, so stay tuned for that.
Excellent.
Could be good for some live betting, so keep that in mind as well.
All right. Well, thanks very much as well for you being here, man. I know you've got a fair amount of soccer knowledge, especially being an American. So good.
It's all about the video game. So as I was growing up, so that
is that why you have such a deep knowledge of soccer playing FIFA?
Truth is, that actually helped. I originally didn't really follow soccer at all, and then I started playing FIFA. I got familiar with the players and the leagues, and then some of it carried over. I mean, so as a bettor, you try to find value anywhere you can find it. But
sure.
What got me through the door initially was FIFA, back when the game was good. So it was a long time ago. But overall, FIFA definitely helped me transition to more, I'd say, thorough soccer knowledge.
Well, someday we'll just do a complete show, a breakdown about how FIFA isn't as good as it used to be, and I will take that day off. So yeah,
that works for me. Or we could start doing virtual FIFA bets and work from there. So we'll figure it out. Yeah, I know, something like that. Yeah,
excellent. All right, guys, thanks very much, Valdis. We hope to have you on, man. We'd like to make it a weekly feature whenever you're available. So we certainly appreciate.
Yeah, next week probably is good as well. There's no Bundesliga as well, so we can concentrate on English.
Excellent.
English soccer more and some other leagues as well.
Fantastic. Thanks for being here this week. Stay safe, Scotty. As always, thanks for being in the co-pilot's chair and lending your expertise, FIFA derived or other, to the world of soccer. I appreciate it as always. So you have yourself a good day over there in Long Island. Stay safe, and to the rest of you, we appreciate you stopping by and joining us here on Today in Sports Betting. And don't forget to check out winnersandwhiners.com. Check out all the great writers like Valdis, checking it, doing all the soccer stuff. He's got, I know, a lot of pieces over at winnersandwhiners.com. Check out our sister site at statsalt.com as well. Still great content on the current games that are available to bet on. Soccer, esports, baseball coming. It's pretty excited about that. And I know hockey's coming. Valdis, you're a hockey guy as well, right?
I can't wait for NHL to start. Friday, there's finally the draw is going to be. We're going to see who's going to pick who, which in the positioning of.
For the NFL draft. For the NHL
draft, yes. And can't wait for that finally to happen. Well, Austin Matthews has coronavirus, though, I've heard recently. So obviously the play's probably not going to start that soon. August.
We'll see.
I hope so.
Trying to move on to phase 3 from phase 2. So we'll see how that goes. I know they've kind of got a soft target of somewhere around the first couple of weeks of August. We'll see if they're able to hang in with that. And there's a lot of movement in sports and returning to sports. So we'll just we'll probably do a show before too long and cover coronavirus update as we do about every other week or so as it ends up, because there's a lot of fluid, a lot of movement, a lot of moving parts. So we'll be back tomorrow, and tomorrow we are going to talk what are we going to talk tomorrow? We're going to talk a UFC tomorrow, Scott. What are we doing?
We got some golf.
Some golf tomorrow. That's right. We got some golf. The golf tournament will be starting on Thursday. How can I forget golf? So you and I'll be back to talk a little round ball tomorrow.
Yeah, we got the Travelers Championship coming up.
That's right, the Travelers Championship. Then Thursday we're going to be doing UFC. Friday we'll talk about NASCAR. It's going to be a day earlier than our normal day because we have the NASCAR doubleheader on Saturday and Sunday. So that pretty much fills out the rest of the week. But, we want you to join us every day. Don't forget to drop us a comment. Let us know what you're playing. Let us know what you think of the show. And if you have anything that you'd like to see us cover or talk about, we are always looking for suggestions. So until tomorrow, guys, I am Scott Steen. He is Scott Reichel, and he is also Valdis Pans. Thanks very much for everybody for joining us today. And, everybody stay safe, have fun, have a great day, and we'll be looking for you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.